transcends history, transcends ancestry. Islam has to do this concept. Islam is a code of ethics, set of beliefs. So it's perfectly normal for a person to be American Muslim, Eritrean Muslim. But how do we reconcile between being an Eritrean and being an American? Now what's interesting is we belong to two countries. One is one of the poorest nations in the world, Eritrea. And America is one of the richest countries in the world. The two countries have different living standards. So for us, definitely, we have to be true Eritrean, and we also have to be true Americans. Some of us, Eritrea for us is our place of birth and the land of our ancestors. For those who were born here, for them, Eritrea is the land of their ancestors, not the land of their birth. Those who were born here, America is the land of their birth, but not the land of their ancestors. So, in any situation, we have these two connections. And how do we reconcile? Definitely, as Eritreans, whether we are born here or we belong to Eritrea by ancestry, we have a duty of care towards our nation. It's a poorest nation. It's a nation that's going through many struggles. And our families, our communities, our relatives, everywhere, they're struggling. So living in a country where we're enjoying all the opportunities available for us, we have a duty of care towards our land of ancestry. Now, this is not, we are not really letting the weed, because America itself is a land of immigrants. One time, the Minister of Immigration in Canada, she wrote, everyone in Canada is an immigrant. The only difference is the time. Some people came 100 years ago, others came 200 years ago, others came 50 years, everybody is immigrant. So there is a dual identity for everyone. It's the same for America. I think the Kennedy family, they were Irish Americans, and so on and so forth. And the Irish community in North America, they played a significant role in helping Ireland when it was going through major crisis. So we also, as Eritrean Americans, we have a duty of care towards our nation, help our people, and try to bridge the gap between the rich country that we belong to, that we live in, and the poor country that our ancestors come from. Now, if you look at history, Eritreans generally feel proud and say we are the first nation to welcome Islam. Now, the question is this a fact or is it a myth? Because every country and every community has certain myth that gives them a false sense of pride. And myths sometimes could be baseless, or sometimes could have a base that people will spice it generation after generation. So the question is, when Eritreans say, we are the first people to welcome and to receive Islam outside Mecca, is this a myth or reality? Definitely it's a reality. A reality reported by all the historians that 5 years after the revelation of Islam to the Prophet ﷺ, just 5 years, the first group of migrants came to Eritrea, which historically used to be called as Abyssinia, including parts of Eritrea today and parts of northern Ethiopia. So they migrated. Their number was at least close to 200 with their children. They spent their time ranging from 7 to 15 years. Some of the most outstanding companions of the Prophet. Now imagine all these years, what were they doing in Eritrea? you're barbecuing or picnicking, they will definitely spreading the message of Islam. So accordingly, we can conclude that even though all of them left after 50 years, they left behind them a Muslim community in Eritrea. So Eritrea is the first nation to receive Islam, and that's something definitely Eritreans should be proud about. Interestingly, America that you guys belong to, or I also belong to, because when we took America, the whole North America, was one of the latest places to receive Islam. Islam came to North America, probably some people say before others. But there is no documentation, but that's a possibility. It definitely came with the Afro-Americans, the slaves, because the estimate is probably 1/4 of the slaves who were brought from West Africa, they were Muslims. That's the estimate. But then Islam came in larger numbers in the 50s and 60s, and now we have Islam spread across North America. So that's the connection of Islam with Eritrea and America. Now going back to the Eritrean history and the connection of Eritrea with Islam, maybe I can take you through the phases very quickly. So the first phase, I would call it the phase of seeding Islam. So this is the phase when the companions of the Prophet migrated. The second phase would be the phase of grounding Islam in Eritrea. This is when the Islamic Caliphate, the Umayyad, basically took over the head. And then the third stage came, the stage of the spread of Islam across Eritrea. And one thing important about the spread of Islam in Eritrea, that the spread happened peacefully. Meaning that those who spread Islam in Eritrea were merchants, religious families, who are known as religious families. Yesterday I met a young man who told me from Ashir. Ashir is one of the most well-known among them. And also the Sufi order, Sayyid al-Nuraniyya. These were the main factors in the spread of Islam across Eritrea. So there is a stage where Islam spread across many regions in Eritrea. But then came a stage of a major challenge where Islam was, or Muslims were in the verge of potential elimination. And that's when King Johannes came. King Johannes came with a mission to Christianize the whole Ethiopia and Eritrea. Not only Christianize, no, to make them Jacobites or Coptic. So Catholics, Jews, Muslims, everyone has to become a Coptic Christian. That was his project. And he gave ultimatum to Muslims and to everyone. And there were massacres in Ethiopia itself, in Wolo and Tigray. And he tried to enforce that in Eritrea. Eventually, he was controlling the highlands. His mission was to take control of the coastal areas and even venture deeper into Clara. If he had his way, no Islam would have remained in Ethiopia or in Eritrea today. There were villages in Eritrea that were forced to Christianize. Many of the Djibouti community in the highlands, they were forced to change their names to Christian similar names to avoid this persecution. So it was a very difficult challenge. But what's interesting, of course, he was killed by the Mahdis. What's interesting is what came after that. So a British historian says that Johannes tried to eliminate Islam, but surprisingly Islam spread even more. Because the Mahdis came after that, and they spread Islam across Western Eritrea. Are you okay here?
Yeah, we're good.
So many of the It's a wake-up call.